What is something you will regret all your life? Not ending bad, unhealthy, unfulfilling relationships sooner. Same here. It's like sticking with a leaky boat because you're afraid of swimming. Whoa, this is a perfect analogy for staying in a relationship longer than you should have. That's my regret. I really was crazy about my old girlfriend, but we both would have been better off if we didn't try to get back together again. It just screwed up everything else in our lives. My other regret? Not committing to my first girlfriend. Someone else got her before I got my act together. Oh well. I feel this to my core. I've always felt bad about making the decision to leave people. Every man I've dated has felt satisfied and happy with me, so the guilt has been there. But it's because I put a lot of care and effort in and have been the one carrying the relationship. It took me a long time to realize that if they don't think you're worth putting the effort in, no matter how content they are or how much they say they love you, that is actually a decision in itself. I don't ask for much or anything unrealistic. I just want reciprocal effort. Now I'm a lot stricter with myself, and it's basically, this is the bare minimum I need from you. If you decide that's not worth it to you, or you feel you can't meet that, then that is your choice, but we can't stay together. It's hard to walk away. Feels like abandoning a puppy, but it's better for everyone in the end, and hanging on just causes more problems. Probably not spending more time with my grandparents when I had the chance. It's one of those things you don't realize you'll miss until it's too late. My grandfather just passed away, and I have been having to come to terms with this. I attended his funeral yesterday, and it's just so final. I miss him. Not buying Bitcoin when I was a 3-month-old fetus. At least you have an excuse. My friend got some in 2010 while I was too busy being skeptical, and almost 15 years of, it can't possibly go higher later. Here I am, still broke and still working dead-end jobs. You are such a loser for not taking that opportunity. Putting in my headphones during the 2-hour train ride with my aunt from Montreal. We had just spent the weekend celebrating her bachelorette, and I was burnt out, but I know she would have loved to talk. She died a week later. She never got to have her wedding. She was like a second mother to me. Oh, that reopened an old wound for me. I'm 70 years old now, but when I was 17, my grandfather went in for what I thought was a routine surgery. We had an argument beforehand, and for the first time ever, he reached out his hand to apologize. I refused to accept it. Less than an hour later, he passed away. I'm crying now just thinking about it. I lost a grandma to what was supposed to be a routine surgery as well. I was impatient to wrap up the visit during what ended up being the last time I ever saw her. She said to us she didn't want to die yet, and we all rolled our eyes and told her she was being dramatic. The last conversation we as a family had with her, but I don't think leaning into her fear of death would have been any more helpful for her. Her last moments were of her family knowing they'd see her again soon. I'm sure that's a better final moment than, "Yep, you're about to die, love you, bye." Sure, she was scared, but everyone's scared going into surgery. But you guys just 100% believing she'd be fine and that she would see you all soon was probably not the worst final experience. In fact, it's a pretty nice one. A family that's there and the promise that it's going to be totally fine. She doesn't know you were wrong. For her, you guys all believed she'd be fine and would be back to chatting soon. A nice way to fall asleep. I have been married to the love of my life for over 3 decades, but I will always regret that when I was young and didn't know how, I couldn't love my first wife in a way that made her feel truly valued and cherished. She deserved better. Oh man, feel this one hard. There's one from my past that I wish I could have been more present, more patient, more giving, and more open with. It absolutely would not have changed the outcome, but it would have made the time we had so much gentler and warmer. She deserved it. I've been married for 16 years, with him for 20. I was a shrew, an absolute terror of a mess. He loved me through all of it, and not a single day did I deserve it. I finally got therapy and healing for severe childhood trauma. We've been happily married for the last 2 years of those 16. He was almost killed on his motorcycle this summer. He's 8 years older than me. I regret so much, and time is a thief. I can't do anything to get back those terrible years and the way I treated him. I can only live every day moving forward and staying in the moment, cherishing him. There are moments daily I apologize individually for things I have said and done. He's a saint to forgive me. I never want another day to pass without him. I can only hope we continue to have 50 more years of good together. But if there is one thing I learned, it's that life didn't happen to us. It happened for us. I love him so. If you have a realistic interest or goal that you just keep putting off out of laziness or "I'll get to it eventually," you'll regret that eventually. Simple things like wanting to get scuba certified, learn an instrument, get reasonably fit, learn a language, etc. Those are mostly things that take 20 to 30 minutes 5 days a week, or a weekend a couple of times a year. That's a doable commitment for most people, but people push it off for various, and usually bad, reasons. If you have an interest, then commit to it. Force yourself to do it for 3 months no matter what. After 3 months, you may not actually enjoy it, but now you know. If you do enjoy it, then you've got the habit started. I'm guilty of this myself. I've wanted to learn guitar since I was a teenager. I started once and gave up after a few days because my fingers hurt and a video game I enjoy came out. I'm about to turn 40 and I'm just now committed to actually learning it. I'm practicing 15 to 20 minutes each day no matter what, and I've got formal lessons scheduled for the new year. Hell, you may end up not liking something, but it leads you elsewhere. I wanted to be scuba certified and finally did it 10 years ago. Turns out it's just okay for me. There's a lot of gear, it's heavy and cumbersome, and I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. But that journey led me to freediving and spearfishing, which I enjoy immensely. I don't think I'd have ever considered freediving if I didn't try scuba first. If it's reasonable, then just fucking do it. Not pursuing friendships with people that showed actual interest and well-intention towards me, but sticking to bad, toxic friends that I eventually had to drop instead. Not taking care of my physical health when I was younger. I had a rough time mentally, so I don't blame myself as harshly since I already was at my limit. But it will bite me in the ass one day, and I already noticed first signs of future issues. Also giving up on hobbies. Again, it was partly forced due to my mental illnesses, but I will forever grieve it. Not brushing your teeth. I can brush my own teeth, thank you very much. This made me laugh your ass off. I threw away all my audio recordings from my childhood. I had a tape recorder when I was 12, and I made about 10 tapes of my jokes and whatever I was thinking. I'm 31 now, and I'd like to listen to them again to remember who I was when I was 12. Not trusting my own instincts, and letting my midwife and husband convince me I was just tired. When I kept telling them I thought something was wrong while I was in labor at home, the day before my son's stillbirth. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not standing up for myself earlier. My mom had a heart attack. She was full of blood thinner from the first hospital and couldn't have surgery right away. She had to wait it out. Meanwhile, she was sitting up in bed, joking around, not at all seeming that bad off, but she was because when they tried weaning her off the cocktail of IVs, she would fizzle. She patted the bed and said, "Come sit with me." I was very uncomfortable doing it and declined. I was incredibly worried about snagging the IV or kinking it. She said she understood and it was okay. She passed 3 days later from complications during surgery. I keep playing that over and over in my head, wishing I had been less of a wuss, that I denied her a last snuggle. It crushes me. Allowing toxic people to dictate who I was and what I did. Living your life your way is so freeing. How I hurt people and myself with my drinking. I'm several years sober now, but it still haunts me. The fact that I just don't keep up with therapy regularly. I've been suffering from heavy depression ever since I was 12, 23 now. And while I've been to therapy multiple times, I'll always stop showing up at one point or another because I get stuck in a hole and can't get out of bed for anything other than work. And even then, I'm just physically present. I know it'd be for the better, but I can't seem to fight my apathy once a bad phase hits. At the same time, I can't really go into stationary therapy because I'm broke, in debt, and am forced to work due to that. I simply can't take a break unless I'm fine with losing the roof over my head and giving up both of my cats to a foster home. With the way it's going, I'll probably keep functioning for my cats, and once they die, it's time for me to leave as well. Not learning how to be financially literate and have good savings habits in my teens and 20s. Thinking back on my life, I should have been able to save up a down payment and buy a home and a car and be better set up in my 30s. Instead, I was irresponsible and didn't think about the future at all. Now I have better habits, but it's nearly impossible to even afford a home where I live on what should be a reasonable salary. I snapped at my father years ago and said some really nasty things. It was the first time I ever saw him cry. I apologized the same day and we had a meaningful conversation, but I really wish I hadn't blown up like that. I can't take back the things I said, and even though we are on good terms now, I still think about it sometimes when we see each other. Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes. Do not forget to watch other videos.